Leo, welcome. It's such an immense pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for the invite. I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, excited.
So am I. So, Leo, I know you've done a lot of sports, music as well in your early youth. And now, for nearly 10 years, you've been a health futurist. What thread connects all these different chapters of your life, and what is your passion today?
Yeah, maybe I would say probably it is all connected by bringing people and in the sense of sports also myself joy and happiness. I started pretty early in the entire health journey, and health is of course interconnected with everything because like music is also very good for my health and for health in general. I had like the privilege that I grew up in a family where health was a super important topic. So I had a father who made sure that I was always doing some sport. I had a mother who was or is super health conscious, so health was always a big thing in the family. And music was just my passion. My dad is a musician, so I had that already in my genes, and I think that brought it all together. And what connects us is that it's a journey of creation. I think creating things is something that's truly important to me and in my life general, and I would say probably creation connects all of it together.
Beautiful. And when you look at the future of health and longevity, what excites you the most and what genuinely worries you?
I think this is a question we could talk the entire hour about. I think what excites me is especially the topic that we have the possibility, at least from a technical point and also step for step more on an infrastructure side, to view health more holistically and sustainable. Because right now, what we or how we approach health right now is more a reactive system. And this is something that also worries me. And I think health needs to be very long term thought. It's probably one of the easier things if you just think about the simple habits that you can stack on to build the right foundation. And AI and tech in general enables us to have a more sustainable approach to health, better diagnostics, we will have better personalization and also a better learning experience. And I think that's fantastic because in the end, in my opinion, health is definitely by huge parts created by the foundations. So if we think about sleep, if we think about nutrition, physical exercise, stress management, and also emotional connection with people. And I think tech, even in the last part, maybe tech also brings some tricky points when it comes to emotional and social connection because we are more and more in solitude. I think in the other cases, it brings the opportunity of understanding every human as individual and deliver care and support in the most personalized way. And what I mean by that is that we have the possibility to understand not only, okay, your biometrics are exactly in that range or tell me exactly that, so you need to do A, B, C, but even further, for example, thinking about an AI that understands that, for example, someone is a mother of three children and has a job until nearly the entire day, and after that needs to balance and juggle so many things that AI creates ways that they can build habits that even in this little time they have fit in their schedule. And I think that's exactly where I'm super excited that we will get AI assistants and health assistants that will be truly personalized to us in our life. And I think that's what excites me a lot. On the other side, I think when it's a bit about the things that I'm worried about the topic that we have a very reactive care model right now, and that also people tend to want that thing that shows immediate impact. And the things that show immediate impact are, I would even go that far to say, most of the time, not the most sustainable ones. If we think, for example, at the GLP-1s, like the weight loss drugs, in general, they are probably like good accelerators to start something for people that otherwise would never start something. But if they are the only solution and people don't build like good habits, a good foundation, and a good lifestyle around it, then they are even super dangerous in another way. And I think that's something that also scares me in a bit, because I realize that a lot of people take it and think like, yeah, okay, that's all I need to do. That's my solution. That one pill, because they are also now available as pill. That it's the magic pill that I take and everything is good. This will, like, health will never work like that. We always need to build that foundation. And I think people relying on those topics could be a big challenge, because you also see yo-yo effects there. Like if you get all that drug and you don't change your lifestyle, so that you lose a lot of, in general, body mass, so muscles, of course, like fat, but also muscles and like your bone density. But the things that come back is not your muscles and your bone density if you don't have a sustainable lifestyle. I think that's something that worries me on the other side, because I think there is so much potential, but it's still the human that needs to act in the right way. And if that doesn't happen, all those magic solutions, yeah, don't have that impact that they could have. On the other side, and that's what I already mentioned, where I'm excited about, maybe AI is there to, yeah, make sure to educate people in the right way, that they understand that the magic pill doesn't exist, and that you still need to change your lifestyle and think about what else you can do to live a healthier life. And I think, yeah, that's where my hope is, that we have like digital and smart assistants that will help us. And I think that's what excites me most. But on the other side, also, of course, the super, super deep tech stuff, when we think about stem cell and cell engineering, is definitely something that I've, yeah, find super interesting. The entire topic of tissue engineering is something where I'm like super excited about what the future will bring.
Do you actually believe that we can become immortal as humans as a result of all the advances that we're seeing today?
That's a good question, where I had a lot of discussions with different people. Some people told me, yeah, you're crazy, and they never wanted to talk to me again. So you probably know my answer. And some people are like, yeah, let's see how we get there. I think we will be able to be very, very old. That's something that I see. Immortal is it's just a different thing. I'm not 100% sure, but my ambition is definitely to enable people to live to beyond 1,000 years, because I think we will get to the point very soon where we will reach the point where we can decrease our aging, or our pace of aging, immensely. We can already see it. People like Brian Johnson, of course, I think he's very extreme, but you can already see today he is able to decrease his aging by, I think, it's 0.5, so already half of the pace. And of course he has a lot of money to invest in that topic. And I think in the next years, and also what AI will enable when we think about drug discovery, and also like the hyper personalized advice, I think there will be a lot of possibilities. But the question is still, when will it be that we make the huge jump? I'm 100% convinced that my generation will be easily over 100 years, and we will definitely also have more and more people that are over 150 and maybe even approaching 200 years. But I think the big jump, like the huge jump that we will make from, I don't know, living nearly endlessly, is still something that could take, yeah, it will take decades, and probably even over 100 years. So that's something where I'm not confident yet to say, hey, we will reach that soon, or if it is possible in the near future. But in general, maybe yes. And for me, it's also something we need to rethink it from a philosophical side, and what we think about living. Because, like, of course, like, our bodies are not able to be there forever, but we also see more and more robotics, and the future is also a question. Will we have like our, I don't know, rejuvenating joints, or will we just be at a certain point where we have robot legs because they are just so much more useful? So that's a bit of the crazy side where I think we can also think about. And then that's the question, how we redefine life. If most of us is a cyborg, but we still have our consciousness, so you see, like, this is a topic where we can definitely nerd around. But If I sum it up, I think we will get to a point where we will live double the amount of years that we live right now.
Very fascinating. And since you've mentioned Brian Johnson, I believe he spent over $2 million on his longevity protocols and tests on a yearly
Yes.
basis. But for our listeners that may not wish to spend that amount of money, what are specific habits that you would
Mm.
recommend that compound massively over 10 to 20 years and that some individuals may be underestimating today?
I think that's a good point to point that out too. Brian Johnson on the other side is also a guy where I say he tries so many new protocols, and that's also, I think on one side he's a bit crazy. On the other side, he is literally donating his body to research. I frame it like that because he tries everything and also protocols that he validates where before no one realized are they even healthy. And he also made some mistakes where he realized, oh, I did a habit and it even impacted the pace of aging or the biological age in a negative way. And I think in general, he also realized, even when you analyze what he writes about, it's still the basics. So he's not like, okay, everyone needs to take exactly that pill because it prolongs your life, but it's mostly like people sleep early because sleep is the foundation. If you haven't slept well, and the next day you wake up, the likeliness that your body, either like your metabolism doesn't function like it used to be the day before when you had enough sleep, is pretty high. On the other side, you crave more fatty food, more salty food. Like there is a way that you definitely act not as healthy as possible if you don't have enough sleep. Next thing is in general nutrition. So nutrition can change so much. And like the hyper processed food all of us eat, like it's crazy still if we break out of that bubble and see, of course, in the bubble everyone eats whole foods, makes sure they get enough protein, more fiber, but that's still a bubble. And sometimes I break out of the bubble to see how it's normal. And if you break out of the bubble, I see that 80% of the people still don't do it. And I think that's a huge lever. And on the other side, exercise. There are so simple things, like if I just think about like taking a short walk after a meal so that you can influence your glucose fluctuations and you don't have that heavy fluctuations after a heavy meal. So it's so simple sometimes, like you don't need to run a marathon but just have a walk for 10 minutes, for example. And I think there are so many quick wins that all of us can do. And on the other side, it's still the boring basics that compound over time. And one thing that I still need to manage on my own, like some things where I don't want to pray water and drink wine, is like chronic stress, like the stress management, like how we are mentally the entire time completely wired. This is also something where we can do so much to really make sure, hey, we have our moments where we are more in the present moment and where we have some rest and where we have some rest and digest and not always on the run. And I think that's something also where we will see more and more problems upcoming where we can relate them to something. When I think about chronic stress and metabolic issues, there will be so much in the future that we will unravel, that where we realize, oh wow, stress is definitely one of our the biggest silent killer. I think that's already what we know, but we will see how big the impact is. And yeah, if I broke it down or like repeat it, it's simple. It's like still the basics, no matter if you are Brian Johnson or if you're someone else, it's still sleep, nutrition, it's exercise, and it's on the other side, stress management and emotional well being. And I think this is something that's super important. And on the other side, maybe a short excursus, what I'm seeing more and more, and where I'm seeing really interesting research, it's a topic that I recently dived more into, it is psychoneuroimmunology. It sounds so fancy and it sounds like, oh wow, what is this? But in the end, it's just something that shows you, okay, your thoughts influence your emotions translate in your body into chemical signals, and those chemical signals in the end drive inflammation or in general influence your immunology. So it's in the end that simple that you can also really say, hey, optimism is something that's super healthy. And in the end, your thoughts, if you have always bad thoughts, then the likeliness that you will also have worse, yeah, mental health, or in general physical health, because mental health will translate into physical health, is also the case. So I think one thing that is also pretty simple is just stay future positive and optimistic.
It's really interesting because all the research I've been doing also indicates that even when you're super, super stressed, actually your glucose levels go up because your body is getting ready to fight. And I was also speaking with a neuroscientist recently who was saying that when you are under stress at the cellular level, your cells are degenerating. So it's really, really important that we find ways to manage stress and integrate more joy, ultimately more positivity into our lives in order to live longer but also happier. So what tips would you give our audience to more effectively manage stress?
Hmm. That's a good and big question. First, I would go back to optimism. So I think optimism is definitely something that will help you to 10 times easier like manage your stress, because most people, or like many people, are driven by fear. No, I can even say most people are driven by fear. So in the end, if you're always in the moment, you said it, in the fight or flight mode, definitely there is something wrong. And having a more positive perspective on life, that's the first thing. How to do it, because like this is like some people will wonder, yeah, okay, be more positive, how? I think stoicism is something that I really love in that case. So think about the topics: what can I influence, and what are things that I just can't influence? I can't 100% quote it, but there is something like, God, uh, give me the power to accept the things I cannot change, and give me the power to change the things I can change, and give me the wisdom to differentiate between each other. And I think this is so super powerful, because so many people are super worried about things they cannot change. Of course, I understand it, that some things are on your mind, but let go. Like, I think it sounds, maybe it sounds a bit too easy, but it is like that. Like, let go of those things where you realize, hey, they are bad, but I can't do anything about it, and try to focus on things that are maybe not 100% perfect, but that I can influence. And if you have that success feeling of, hey, I influenced, I changed something, and now I feel better, that the moment of self-efficacy of, I can actually change things and influence them, will also give you more energy again to go the next step. So I think a stoic perspective definitely helps on those topics. And on the other side, definitely, yeah, just to get some rest, sleep enough, because like if you don't have enough sleep, you will be stressed 10 times easier. And it's again so simple, but still so hard for so many people, like me including. Like, I definitely have enough sleep most of the times from a physical perspective, but I think from a spiritual or like emotional perspective, I probably would need more rest that I have right now. And I think that that's something that also is a super, super simple quick fix to just get some rest. And if you want to go further, and if you say like, hey, I want to try more things than meditation. So I did a lot of meditation. I did some meditation retreats with amazing people. It was fantastic, and it definitely helped me to calm down. And I had a 10 times better time when I realized that I just was more calm and didn't care about so many of the bad things, because I was more in the here and now. And if I'm in the presence, what meditation, or what the ultimate goal of meditation is, I could not be that worried about the future, and I will not be that badly influenced from the past, because I'm in the present moment. And that is definitely, I would say, trickier than a stoic perspective, but it is probably something that influences you over a longer time. And most of the time, that's also what I experienced. I just have the privilege that I have the most amazing people around me and in my life. But I think when you meditate and go to such retreats, you also meet people that think alike and that probably have the same mindset or the same struggles, and you have that social connection and the emotional connection that helps you to deal with that situation. And I think those would be the four things that really really make a difference in stress management. So future positivity and optimism. On the other side, more like a stoic philosophy where you think about what can I actually change and what not, and let the things there that I cannot change. Then meditation, and then reconnection with people that care about you and where you care about them. And then based on that, if you set that foundation, then find something that is purposeful for you where you can create. Because like I think that's something that is way trickier, and if you look at the pyramid, also way higher located. But if the basics work and you are not anymore in the fight or flight state, I would go to the place where I say, hey, what is actually your passion? What is your purpose? And what really drives you forward and makes you longing for more, and it gives you the feeling of I never want to die because it's so amazing, I want to live forever. Yeah.
And it's such important points that you've raised, and this dimension of purpose and also connection actually have been clearly identified as key drivers for longevity. In fact, whether it's the super agers, as we call them, or in the blue zones, where we have the most number of individuals that live past 100. One of the blue zones, for example, is in Japan, in Okinawa. And it's really, really interesting the dimension of purpose and relationships that are really ingrained at the core of these individuals that are living past 100 today. So thank you so much for sharing that. As you currently work with specific entrepreneurs to help them build health and longevity driven tech companies, from all your experience to date, what separates ideas that sound good on paper from those that actually scale?
I think that's a pretty interesting question on when you regard like what is actually something that's the foundation of a business. We just talked about like what is the foundation of health and people's life, and I think one of the foundations of a company is that there is a core where that makes sure it runs. And what I see is when I'm seeing companies more from an investment perspective, I think the difference that I see there is that some companies, all of them, if they are in healthcare, have problems worth solving, because like healthcare definitely, and health in general, definitely gives you such an amazing amount of ideas or problems that need to be solved. And on the other side, I see a lot of people that actually struggle and fail because they never create a business model that works sustainable. And no matter how good no matter how big the impact of your solution is, if you can't capture it in a way that you have a return, and with the return I would say in that case money that helps you to pay the smartest people solving the topic, or gives you money for, I don't know, getting the right resources and the right experts in so that you can drive it long term. I think that's where I see most companies failing, and where I see that most founders definitely need to do their homework even better. That you need a good business model and business strategy in the end to create a company that has constant revenue streams that are sustainable and enable you to survive. And I think it's simple as that, that in the end that's the core of a sustainable solution. Because if you don't have it, like it's like the fuel that you have nutrition in a company, you need that money that fuels the processes. Yeah.
And as we're talking about sustainable revenue streams, and since a lot of the new health tech enterprises are in the B2C world, right? So they're looking at consumers that may be willing and interested to invest in optimizing their own health. And particularly when you're looking at all the free solutions that exist today, where is this going in your view? Do you believe that more and more consumers will choose to pay the premium to get premium services and greater value and greater and more fine-tuned and personalized guidance, or do you believe that we're going to be heading in a different direction?
I I hope that our system changes in a way that we don't need to. I see that exactly. Like in the US, you already see it since years because that's just how their healthcare system works. You pay yourself if you just want to make sure that you don't get sick and rely on a system where you even pay more, because if once things are broken, they will be 10 times more expensive to fix. Here in Europe or in Germany, especially, I would say as an example, you don't need it because like healthcare is free and you have the feeling, of course, if something hurts, I go to a doctor and I don't need to pay something because that's just how it is. But more and more we realize, and I work a lot with also wealthy individuals and try to help them to set up processes for long-term health. And of course, they get like doctors that are 10 times better. And they get doctors that are really, really focused on longevity and make them literally focus on prevention driven. And I think sadly our system how it is right now is 100% reactively driven. And also on the other side, I don't want to criticize it too much, because of course, if I don't know, if I break my leg or if I have a really, really bad accident, I don't want a doctor that says, okay, eat more and have a more sustainable lifestyle and maybe try to go for a walk after food. But I want to have a top surgeon that knows exactly reactively what to do in this actual situation. Before, those cases are definitely the cases that I hope that no one has. And on the other side, if we think about all the chronic diseases, they are literally there because people don't act if it doesn't hurt, or most people don't act if it doesn't hurt. I think those solutions that are for self-payers or that have more the B2C approach are a lot of the time not the reactive care models, but most of the time those are solutions that act preventively. Right now, prevention just has a very hard time of bringing those early return on investments that the system that we built over years just cannot value prevention that high. And that's a big problem that I see, that no matter how much we try, we still have a system that values, hey, there is something bad and I solved it and I saw immediate return on investment. If we have a system where already, if I do something now and I get the return on investment in 10 or 20 years, that's exactly the time. Otherwise, bad habits compound into chronic diseases. Then I would say we also have a better incentivation structure. And I think that's a big, big problem we are facing all over the world. I think that's sadly one thing that unites all the healthcare models, that prevention is not there yet system wise, because we haven't found a way to show that return on investment. And I think sadly, that's also the reason why we will see more and more of those B2C solutions where some people will be able to afford them, but quite a lot of people, hopefully not the majority, but right now the majority is not able to afford them. And there is a big difference, and people will have more willingness to pay for health over the next years. They already have. Like some years ago, no one was willing to pay for prevention. But now that longevity brought the hype into long term health thinking, that I think about prevention, people are also more willing to spend money on things that help them to be healthy in the long run. And people realize that I need to act now to be healthy later on.
Are you seeing across all these various startups that you're collaborating with a trend in terms of the generation that is most focused on prevention?
Definitely. I think the younger people are, the more willing to think about prevention they are. But I need to correct that in a way. I think some people, for some it's a bit too hard because there is already a generation again. I'm not an expert in generational research. That's important to claim, but I get the feeling that there is a generation where it's super hard. For example, the generation a bit younger than my parents, I would say around people like 55 to 70, that age group
Mhm.
didn't, that didn't get that educated on health through the years, and is also not that health aware. Then of course there is a younger generation. I would say even people that are 40 right now are really caring about, of course people also above 40 are really caring about, but the majority of the people that I know that are in their 40s or in the beginnings of their 40s, they care a lot about health. And people that I know in my close environment, when I say between 25 and 40, they are super health conscious. So they are extremely health conscious. And on the other side, I get like there is a new generation where I get the feeling, I definitely don't know if that's fair what I'm saying, that they are like, hey, I still want to live my life. Like I don't want to have to structure my life around health. I still want to enjoy my life, and so I enjoy it. And that's again a different mindset, but maybe it's just the time, because like when I was like 16 to 20, I thought about my health, but definitely not in a way, and was definitely not as obsessed as I'm now. Yeah.
One question that comes to mind also, since we were talking about all these new innovations and solutions that are emerging, we have individuals that, as you know, choose to basically freeze their body, hoping that as technology and medicine evolves in the decades ahead, that they will be revived. What's your thought on that?
I love the question. Literally, I gave a longevity workshop around that topic where I included this topic, and I said like, hey, think about freezing or freezing your age, like not actually freezing your body, but just think about freezing your age. I don't want to freeze like a body where I'm feeling like 70. So it's still super important to do all the basics. Of course, like I said, like in a crazy scenario, maybe in the future, most of your body is changed to, I don't know, new robotic parts, and you don't even have like your normal legs, but you have legs that can run super fast and that jump 10 times higher without any problems on your body, and you don't even need your normal legs. But I think that's definitely far in the future still, until we decide to have something like that. But on the other side, most of the time you don't want to be old just to be old and get 100 years just for the sake of being 100, but you want to get to 100 because you want to enjoy life. And to enjoy life you need to be healthy, because like it's a simple thing. Like people that are not healthy only have one wish, and that one wish is to be healthy again. And if we are healthy, we have 1,000 wishes. And I think what we should focus on is trying to get there, to freeze a body where that's biologically 30 but chronologically maybe 70 or 80, because I think then it's definitely an interesting pace. But I definitely don't want to freeze myself when I'm feeling like 70 or when I'm feeling like 80, to wake up and still feel like 80. I want to feel like 30 and be like that all the time. And I think this is something that we should definitely look at. And on the other side, freezing their bodies, that's exactly also the kind of innovation where I think we definitely need decades of research and development in that case. There are things that we can see like that are super super promising. For example, what excites me insanely is, for example, the Yamanaka factors, where they thought like it was, I think, four genes that definitely helped like mice that lost their vision to regain their vision and rejuvenate their organs. So I think this is definitely something that shows, wow, what the hell, this is already possible, and that was 10, even more than 10 years ago. So there is huge potential, and there is something going on already for years and years. And David Sinclair just announced like the first epigenetic reprogramming, I think like a week ago or so, that they had like a breakthrough where they're going into human trials. So there are things happening that have a massive impact. And I think there was also something where they defrost animals or something in a research program and things work, but it will take still ages until they reach they are applicable, and even more ages until they reach everyone. Because I think this is something where we also need to rethink longevity from a moral perspective. Those programs will be there sooner than we think sometimes, but it will not be like you will not go to the supermarket and order such a, but it will be for super rich people, because they will definitely cost way beyond $100,000, euros, whatever, to use those protocols. So I think we will get there, but the question is how fast and for how many people. And this is definitely where we also need to think about longevity from a philosophical viewpoint.
And also from a societal perspective,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, it has massive implications if we live past 100. And
Yeah.
today, when you're looking at the retirement age of being, in the mid 60s, depending on the country you live in, but now all of a sudden you have to sustain a living for much much longer. It takes a very very different approach to how we plan
Mm,
this longevity from a financial perspective.
absolutely.
Any thoughts on that?
I think that's a tricky question because I'm very biased, and with the people that I'm working with, and with most of them, and also the people I'm around with, they are mostly people that say, "Hey, like I love what I do. I want to keep on doing stuff." And for me, the same. Like I'm not planning to stop working. Even if I would think about like a scenario where I stop working, I would think like, okay, what do I next? What will I do next? Like I realize even when I have 3 days without work, I get completely bored and I try new side hustles or try new stuff. So I think there are a lot of people in my environment and that I have contact with that will work forever because they just enjoy it. They will just probably reduce the workload. So probably if I could choose a tomorrow to get the same things done in, I don't know, one day less working, I would probably say yeah, makes sense. But on the other side, I think a lot of people will continue working. That's again also a topic where we need to talk about AI. We have so many things in the news already where the biggest companies in the world, like there lately there goes no day where I don't see a new message of, I don't know how many thousand people are laid off because out of AI efficiencies or AI restructuring. Of course, they frame it in a different way because otherwise they would not be able to let off those people. But it will change. AI and robotics, especially in the next 10 years, we will see such a huge shift again that we never would have thought about. Like it will automate so many things will get possible. Even if I think about my workday, I work with AI agents or build my AI agents for nearly every task. If I wouldn't have I would need to hire at least 3 more people and probably even more. And I think that that's the thing where AI will definitely change the way also how we get work done. And in a way, I hope in a way that we will find a way to manage it with in a way with a universal income or whatever, that yeah, not too many people don't know what to do anymore. Because like you need to think about, if we, I don't know, let go 50% of the people working in every company because due to AI efficiency gains, there will be a big problem because those people will, they need something to do. And if we don't create a structure and a system where those people are held in society and are supported to retrain on something else or just keep that job, and we, I don't know, enable other people that want to go off and want to be, I don't know, their own boss, that they can go, I think then we will end up like in a civil war. Sadly, I'm still future positive, but I think there is a scenario that either we stay future positive, we create a system where those people are not let down and where those people are decided that don't have a job anymore, that they can do something else and they still have financial support. Then it's fantastic. If everyone can work on their self-efficacy and on their purpose, amazing. And if they could do a lot of personality development in the time, but if not, we will have a big problem. And I think that's in general my perspective on the entire topic of AI, that it needs to be managed on so many levels, and the societal level, and the moral level, and the ethical level, and the philosophical and spiritual level. I would also put spirituality in that part to mix around and think about it, needs to be considered, because otherwise we will end up in a future that's probably for all of us not nice, but definitely for the majority of people not nice.
So this brings me actually to the topic of joy. And if there would be a recipe for living more joyfully, what would be the three main ingredients in your view?
All in my view, I know it's pretty well, because like I developed a concept over quite a lot of years that I call engineering serendipity. And for me, one of the core things is, or like the core values that I would need to have that is be bold, passionate, and kind. Because on the one side, kindness is absolutely the core of everything. And I think kindness is the biggest superpower out there. On the other side, you still need to be bold to make the first move, or to dare and to go out and make something that you always wanted to do, and or also to take what is in the world for you. You need to be able to still be like, hey, this is now the thing that I take, and where I will create amazing things, and that's my spot where I stand. So the boldness is part of it. Kindness is the foundation. If you're bold without kindness, you will lose. And that's good, because like we bold people should be kind, otherwise we have a problem. And kindness makes people stay. So with boldness, you get in contact with the right people, maybe. With kindness, you stay in contact with the people because they want to be connected with you. And being passionate just helps you and people around you to just enjoy life more, because everyone wants to listen to passionate people. Everyone wants to find their own passion. And if you are in the search for your passion, I think that's the best time investment, the best way how you can invest your time. And I think that that brings joy, and that enables you also to create. And I think being bold, passionate, and kind, and creating out of that something that brings value to everyone, is the core principle of joy, at least from my perspective. And I started first when I was 16 years old to think about what's my purpose in life. And back then I broke it down into bring people joy and happiness. And this is still what I do. The only thing is that nowadays I realize that before I bring people joy and happiness, I need to bring them health, because health is the foundation for joy and happiness. And if they are healthy, you have the right foundation to then go for uh, self fulfillment and go for more. And I think that's what makes you to get in contact with amazing people, and what makes amazing people to approach you and want to stay with you. And surrounding yourself with the right people definitely, um, probably is something that I can say more generalistic, brings everyone joy and yeah, happiness.
Beautiful. And if there would be one challenge that you could give our listeners that they could pursue in the coming week, what would it be based on everything we have discussed today?
I have so many, but I think the most important one is still the one that drives everything else, and that's positivity and optimism. So try to reframe something that you currently see in your life that, yeah, maybe influences you in a bad way, or it makes you think badly about something, and think about, hey, how can you change this thing? Or if you cannot change it, change your perspective or relationship to it, that you are more future positive and optimistic, because in the end, that is the main foundation for everything else that comes afterwards.
Fully agree. Leo, it's been an immense pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you for all the wisdom you have shared. I wish you continued success in all the pursuits that you're working on. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the invite. Really enjoyed it.